but the story had already leaked. After my 2 goodbyes, people were too sad. They were like, something's fishy about this departure. And then it broke online or something that I was leaving over a pay disparity issue. So then I was like, well, shit, I need to own this and share the whole nuts and bolts of the situation. And I put that on my website. And I had no idea, Heather, I kid you not. I've said this a million times, but I really didn't think I thought people might care, but I just thought, oh, they'll be like, oh, chalk that one up to being, that sucks, and it would go away in a day or two. But
yeah.
It was wild how the response to my situation, but it just spoke to the fact that it was so many women's stories and so many women are pissed off and so many people are frustrated in their own industries. So I think, I know that's why the response was so huge.
Well, so I went to Podcast One first, and the owner there was, very difficult to work with and very inappropriate. And in fact, he, I was doing a bra ad and he made a joke, what he thought was a joke, but about, can I touch your breast? My hands are made of memory foam. I'm like, please stop. Like, I got to go. He didn't touch me, but it was all on there. And that day I said, I don't want to do this podcast anymore. I never want to go back there. I didn't, put a mic to myself and try to sue for $1 million. I just was like, let me just take my Juicy Scoop somewhere else. I've fulfilled my 1 year. Like, let me go.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, you're not doing your podcast anywhere else. And I'm like, isn't that the point of having a podcast? Like, now this is all I have. This is the only thing that's getting anyone to my stand-up shows. The podcast makes no money at that time at Podcast One. So I was like, this is the only thing I have to sell out, to get people to come to my shows. I'm not on TV.
Right.
Like, I literally felt like Tina Turner, like, let me just have my name. Let me just have my Juicy Scoop. That's it. I'm not asking for one other thing. And I go, God, and I go, he knows it was being taped. Like, I have this audio. And people are like, you can't say that. I'm like, why won't he, maybe if he knew, like, just leave me alone. Like, no, that's blackmail. You can't do that. So then I start to do it myself, and he's shutting down every server every time. I had to beg people to resubscribe. Finally, people are like, why'd you leave Podcast One? And I start to say, I'll tell you the juicy story. He must have had someone listen. Finally, he let me out, okay? And he let me have my back episodes. So then I continue my life. Then the Trump grab him by the pussy things happen. And I say to my friend, I have that on tape. I have something similar to that on tape that, was a big problem in my life. But I'm an edgy, R-rated comedian. People will probably think I should be able to take that kind of shit. And my friend goes, well, why don't you just play it? If you thought it was a joke, why don't you just play it? Who cares? You didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't like he knew we were taping an ad. I have every audio, So I kind of was like, what do you guys think of this, And I feel the same way. I had no idea the reaction I would get. People that have been listening to me for a year and a half goes, Heather, your whole voice changed when he walked in the room. You started to shake. Things that I didn't even realize of how uncomfortable it was. And again, then all these other male podcasters and stuff are like, Heather's trying to sue. I'm like, I never filed for a lawsuit. I still haven't. I never did. And then
I did not know this story.
Then he made an apology saying, oh, sorry, it was a joke. Well, if it was a joke, aren't you glad I got to share your joke with all my savvy comedian listeners that love comedy? I just shared a joke,
So how did that end? You obviously have your Juicy Scoop.
It ended with nothing legal.
Yeah.
The story was getting wild.
Yeah.
And I did a bunch of interviews. And people talk about fake news. I feel like I've somewhat coined suppressed news. And so these interviews I did never saw the light of day.
Why?
Because he hired a $1 million PR firm to shut the stories down. And Ronan Farrow in his new book talks a lot about stories that never see the light of day. You always hear about fake story, but you also hear about stories like, we'll just make the story go away.
Yeah.
That was something I was not aware of. Like, well, what is that interview I did? Oh, my boss doesn't think it's relevant anymore. Literally. I spent an hour talking to you on the phone. Okay, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. I let it go. My listeners, he was a UC Regent, which is like on a board of all the UC schools, which is a very prestigious thing. And once you get placed that, they can never fire you and you get it for 12 years. Okay?
Tenure.
Yes, but it's...
Yeah. Okay.
So the UC girls that listened to my show fought, and he finally stepped down. But again, was I on the cover of Vanity Fair? Did anyone know? To this day, people don't know. People that are entering podcasts don't know that story. I still have yet to be in a Podcast One show as a guest. And I say I've been banned. And no, you haven't been banned. We just don't think it's a good idea that we have you on. What is that?
A ban.
But it's okay. It's okay. Because I'm like, I have other ways to
Does any
get
part
heard.
of that make you wish you would have sued? I mean, you literally had evidence of a particular harassment.
No, because I felt that would minimize people who really, had it much worse than I. And what people don't realize is, could I have sued for, a certain amount of money of lost income and lost people? Yes, that's not $1 million. And the only way you can sue for an attorney to do the work is for them to sue for such an exorbitant amount so that they get paid.
Right.
That then that story is Heather's suing for $1 million because someone jokingly said, "Can I touch your breast?" And to me, that's not me. That's not the image. I can make my own money.
But the harassment that followed and trying to own your brand and your IP and the bullying, it sounds like, that happened as a result of that. I mean, that's not exactly a walk in the park. No. And unfair, highly unfair.
But that's the story of my life.
I get the not suing thing. A lot of people ask me about why didn't I sue.
But they all think that you do too. Yeah. And then it's a stigma of that. And so I feel like I touched a lot of people that heard my story. I got letters that were like, I changed the way I reacted to people because I heard your story. That's enough for me. Mm-hmm. That's enough for me. The fact that these girls in the UC system protested and were speaking at one of those things of what's going on with the UC, and someone would go up and go, "Oh, we would like to get the engineering building done," and this girl's like, on Juicy Scoop, and I saw this YouTube thing, and I was like, that is, to me, great. And like I said, no, I did not get the PR. There isn't 2 movies made about me. I have met Gretchen Carlson, but
Yeah.